All right, and we're live and we're recording. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to viewers and listeners. Welcome to this conversation with Mrs. Yoko Kato-Bethke, who's a dear friend of mine, a talented practitioner. Welcome, Yoko.
Thank you.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Pierre-Etienne Vannier. I'm a mind body practitioner and the co-founder of the Healing Studio Online. Healing Studio Online is a platform that was established to promote connection as medicine. Right? It's our aim is to build a community of self-healers, reminding people of their innate ability to self-heal and reminding ourselves also of the importance of doing this with others. I like to say, nobody can do it for you, but it's so much easier to do it when we support it by a community. And so today, I'm thrilled and excited to welcome Yoko Kato-Bethke. Yoko, we've known each other for quite a few years. We studied together clinical hypnotherapy at the Hypnosis Practitioner Training Institute many years ago. You have, a lot of skills, a lot of tools in your toolbox. So I'm excited to learn more about you and from you today. Before we go anywhere, Yoko, welcome. Tell us a bit more about who you are, what led you here, what's your background?
Okay, so hello everybody. As Pierre mentioned, we've known each other for quite a few years, and he was actually my mentor. I assisted him in facilitating a mind-body wellness program at Huntington Hospital Cancer Center, and I learned so much from that experience and from him, so I was very blessed to have him as a mentor. So real quick, what I do is integrative wellness and nutrition. My philosophy is that is whole health. I think as a society, we tend to separate mental health and physical health. And I disagree with that. They're connected. Your mental emotional state affects your physical state and vice versa. Like, for example, if you have the flu or a really bad cold, most likely emotionally, you might feel a little down. You have less patience. You might be a little crabby. And so it's that connection. And I fully believe that we can bring balance to both states by using that connection, specific modalities to influence one state in a positive manner so that you have a positive result in the other state. And also with nutrition, what you put in your body is going to affect you, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. And I came to this practice from my upbringing. I was raised Buddhist. And I saw firsthand for myself and for the people around me how mindfulness, so being this objective observer of yourself and your life, and this through a very nurturing, non-judgmental lens, really helped people become more present and more aware of things that weren't working for them, things that weren't beneficial for their well-being. So it made them more aware of the things that needed to change because, like that old saying goes, if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. And if you're not happy with the result, change what you're doing. But part of being able to be aware of, to change what we're doing is being mindful, being objective, that objective observer, and also recognizing that you have the power to change that. As Pierre mentioned, I fully agree with him. I believe that in our psyche and in our bodies, we just have this innate sense of healing. It's there. Number one goal for our consciousness and our bodies is to protect us and to heal and to be at an optimal level. Granted, things happen in life that challenge that. They do. But we can't avoid those challenges, but what we can do is increase our capacity to navigate through those challenges, to increase our resilience. And so that's one of my other focuses as well, is to help my clients have those tools to increase that resilience.
I really appreciate what you're saying when you talk about increasing capacity, because I feel like we're being forced to have the answer to everything, and that resilience in this society, you know, it's about, you should know what to do right here, right now, every single moment. We're briefly discussing positive psychology a few moments ago. We can go back into it in a minute. But really the idea that, you know, sometimes what we need to do is not necessarily to push through, rather than just remind ourselves that we designed to heal, providing that we give space and time to heal. Like I like to remind, you know, the people I work with and myself, that it's time alone doesn't heal. Time and healing practices heal, right?
Mhm.
It's important for us to really go into to make space for our body to nurture us, to rest, to think clearly, right? And we have the ability, but when we keep pushing through, when we keep going in this like caffeinated, you know, cracked out society that tells us go, do more, buy more, purchase more, like produce more, it's like there's no time. Like there's no time for the body to say, no, wait a second here. Like give me, like you said, the awareness of it. You know,
Mhm.
we're so, many of us, including myself, at times I feel like we're just zombies, like moving from, you know, Monday to Friday, and then collapsing on the weekend. You know, so what's your take on like that idea of positive psychology? You know, you're good, you're strong, keep pushing, keep going, you know,
Yeah.
everything is great.
Well, touching back on what you just said, you know, not as a society, not recognizing that it's okay to give your body space, right? But also your mind, emotionally, that whole hunker down mentality. No, you're going to get through this. Hunker down. You shouldn't feel that way. Da 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 da. You know, I disagree with it. You know, what message are you sending yourself with that dialogue, right? You're basically telling yourself that you don't matter and you're not going to honor any space for yourself to
Mm,
feel anything, you know? And what happens when people receive messages that they don't matter? They practice very unhealthy coping mechanisms, unhealthy behaviors, you know? And it's just all against the self-care. So really, I mean, with the positive psychology, I disagree with it. I think it's unrealistic. Um, and I disagree with kind of shoving these perceived negative emotions aside. No, I'm not supposed to feel that way. That's really negative. I should be grateful. I should think this way. Again, shoulding yourself, you know,
mm,
instead of honoring and giving yourself space. You know what? Give yourself that moment to freak out and cuss and scream, whatever you need to do, you know, and say, this absolutely sucks and it's hard. It's okay. Give yourself that space to honor that. But then you step back and you
right.
become that objective observer. You're practicing the mindfulness. And instead, you change those limiting statements to that you're thinking like, this is hard and it's impossible. Instead, you change it to a solution oriented context. Well, how can I make this possible? What can I change to make this easier to navigate through? What can I do that's going to be beneficial for my well being and help me navigate through this challenge? Right. And then what happens is your brain automatically goes into solution oriented mode and starts looking for solutions. When you're thinking those limiting statements, your brain actually shuts down and it's like, well, Yoko and Pierre just said that it's impossible, so I'm just not even going to look for a solution now.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel defeated, you feel stuck, you know. But when you change it to those solution oriented questions or statements, you're giving yourself power, you're giving yourself momentum and moving forward and hope. So it's that balance, you know. Acknowledge it, because the more you shove it aside, the more power you're actually giving what you're shoving aside, the more space it's going to occupy in here and also in your body. Your body is always whispering to you, it's always sending you messages. Don't wait until it's screaming at you. So when your body is sending you those messages, you know, oh, step back. Why are my shoulders so tense and my neck so tense? Oh, maybe it's tied to the way I'm talking to myself right now. I'm using really negative self talk right now. And so changing that dialogue, changing those key negative words to something a little more neutral can help, but just paying attention, I think.
So what I'm hearing here, it's, you know, giving ourselves permission to be human, right? This is really, I've lived in countries where, you know, there was depression and economic recession, and, you know, not very similar to what the US is going through right now as we record this conversation. And again, for us to remember what you're saying, which is like, it's normal for me to get stressed out. It's normal for me. I mean, you know, depression and anxiety is at an all-time high, like in the US. I can't even imagine, you know, what's coming up in terms of health crisis in this country. You know, I'm grateful that there are a lot of people out there who have tools and skills and who are willing to do the work, to hold space for people to heal. But I am, you know, I'm concerned because I also think that right now there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of repression, there's a lot of pushing down, there's a lot of, you know what, I need to keep it together. And I need to keep functioning as if, you know, it's business as usual. And this is just not business as usual. Right? We're so very far from the business as usual. So here, the word that comes to mind, and we've talked about it before, is compassion. Mm-hmm. What about compassion, Yoko? How is compassion important in this context, in the context in which we live right now?
Right now, real quick, the way you said, you know, allowing yourself to be human, I agree. We need to allow ourselves to be human. We're not unicorns. We don't have rainbows shooting out of our butts. So we don't need to live that way. It's not healthy. Okay. So anyways, just want to put that in real quick. The importance of compassion right now, exactly, especially at this time, right? I think it's about compassion, self-compassion, and flexibility. We are trying to do ordinary things during a very extraordinary time right now. Remembering that, you know, and so having that compassion for yourself, that, and the flexibility and the expectations that you have of yourself and even others around you right now, because this is a very surreal time. It's not the same as before, you know. So to have the expectations that you had before, it's just not going to gel with right now. Mm-hmm. And so everybody is going through a challenging time right now at various levels. But the key is thinking like a friend, talking to yourself, viewing yourself as you would a good friend that you respect and love that's going through a really challenging time. When we're going through a difficult time, most likely what's happening is we're berating ourselves, we're focusing on things that we don't like about ourselves or said or choices that we made. You know, we're perceiving it as a failure. But if a really good friend of yours, or, you know, that came to you in that same exact position, most likely, I'm going to say you would probably say something completely different than you would say to yourself. And so thinking like a friend, turning that compassion that you have towards others inwards, towards yourself. And again, that self-care, you're sending a message to yourself that you are valuable, you are loved. And when you're bringing that compassion and redirecting it towards yourself, a lot of those unhealthy thought and behavioral patterns dissipate. And that's really key.
Yeah, and you know, I'm just enjoying listening to and working to really take it in when you say, you know, you're valuable, you're important, you're loved, you know. And it's, I think a few days ago I was doing a meditation called Self-Love Bomb, which was exactly the same thing, right? It's like, okay, let's just imagine that best friend coming to you and, you know, blah blah blah, and then just turn that love inwards. And it's fascinating how challenging it could be, like how many of us, including myself at times, are so good at giving, but when it comes to saying, you know what, I'm just gonna right now welcome these comments, these truth, right? These suggestions that are truth. And paying attention to what happens, because oftentimes I know, I notice like, I don't know if resistance is the right word, but I noticed my body going like, really? Are we? I don't know. That's not really, I'm not used to this. And for us to be able to pay attention to the body, we talked about embodiment, and paying attention to what your body is saying. I think indeed when we're having difficulties with just being compassionate with ourselves, it's most certainly a good time for us to take a pause, and take a moment to say, okay, how is that? Like, why can I just say to myself, I love you, man. It's okay. You're going through a hard time right now, and it's normal for you to get stressed out. Like you said earlier, giving yourself permission to freak out, giving yourself permission for a few moments to be real with yourself, and then say, okay, this is done. Now let me see how I can just bring back some balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a habit, right? You're creating a new habit. And at first you might feel like, oh, this is so stupid and cheesy. I don't even believe it when I'm saying that I love you to myself, or I'm valuable. Like, I feel really silly. But you know what? Keep practicing, keep saying it. It's a habit. You're forming a new habit, and you're still, even if on a conscious level you don't believe it, your psyche and your body is still receiving the benefits of that compassion that you're giving, even if you're not 100% in it at first. I have the same challenge. Here I am telling my clients, oh, practice self-compassion, do this, do that, give back to yourself. Hello, total hypocrite here. I'm a total giver, and it is very challenging for me to accept, to receive. It's challenging for me to receive. And and I notice physically when I'm in a space to being put in a space to receive, I feel the message from my body. Muscles tense up, and I'm like, what's happening here? And again, it's listening to those messages from your body, because thoughts and emotions are usually, I would say most always, tied to thoughts, images, and a physical sensation. So if you're not seeing any thoughts or images, hearing thoughts or images, pay attention to the body. It's telling you something. And then it's like, okay, where is this coming from? So, and self-compassion and mindfulness and all of this leads to practicing healthy boundaries. It leads to building and maintaining a healthier relationship with yourself, so that you can have a healthier relationship with those around you. It's like the saying, be the change you want to see in the world. Well, to create that positive change within our community and within our circles, one of the first steps is creating that positive change within ourselves, right? So,
amen. Yeah, it starts with you, right? It
yes,
starts with
it does. Yeah.
It starts with relationship to self. Yeah, I think it's Dr. Brené Brown who said, you can, and it was a challenging statement, and I've had to chew on that for a while, which is like, you can only love others as much as you love yourself.
Yes.
And then I was, and then of course she was like, yeah, no, but I love my kids much more than this and that. But then really when you dig deep, right, and you allow yourself to be aware, to be honest, and noticing that, yeah, how can you share something that you don't have, right? Yeah. If you, and so, yeah, I very much hear you. I know you've, and here I'm aware of time. So I just want to say again, like a lot of what we've touched upon today, or workshops and trainings that you've offered in terms of establishing healthy practices, nutrition, more specifically nutrition and wellness for breast cancer patients and people in recovery. Am I right? Yeah. Yeah. Mindfulness practices, compassion workshop, right? Compassion practice, et cetera. You're again, as mentioned previously, you have many talents, many tools. So here, if we were to, as we wrap it up, any practice that you'd like to share, or any message that you'd like to share with with somebody who's looking up your, your upcoming trainings, your upcoming workshops, anything you'd like to share with them, both either in terms of practice or in terms of message?
In terms of practice, well, I think it's really, again, is increasing your capacity and having faith within yourself that you have the power to create and make these positive changes. It's just a matter of having the tools, and putting more tools in your toolbox. And that's where you come to, Healing Studio Online, or, friends and, other resources to collect more tools. And that's a first step. Everybody's got to start somewhere. So I don't want to hear like, oh, I should have done this a long time ago. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. No, you're doing it now. There is a step one for everybody at any time. And you know what? At all times, you're always doing the best you can with the resources and tools that you have available at that time. And that's going to shift and that's going to change. Yeah. So I felt like there was something else I wanted to say, but I'm sorry. I just totally, my brain froze.
That's going to have to be on part 2 of that interview. So where can so people can find you on Healing Studio Online, all your website, everything is on Healing Studio Online, but just if you don't mind mentioning briefly, website, IG, where can people find you directly?
So integrativewellnessandrecovery.com. I know that's a long website. And I'm also on Instagram under Integrative Wellness 1, the number 1. And, again, like Pierre, what he mentioned, what I do is nutrition wellness. So it is whatever your personal goals are with nutrition, but also my focus is chronic disease prevention, if there's a family history of it, or if you are currently diagnosed with specific diagnoses, to minimize the side effects of those diagnoses through nutrition. And like he said, stress reduction management, holistic health. So overall, just, whole health, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health, bringing balance to that. I'm based outside of Seattle, Washington, but I also obviously.
And so
I offer virtual. What?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Bad connection, Zoom time. So yeah, I offer one-on-one services, and obviously focus would be personal, professional goals, stress and anxiety management, and taking the steps to have a healthier relationship with yourself and to let go of negative behavioral and thought patterns that are not beneficial for your well-being. Nutrition, whatever your goals may be. Also, the focus in nutrition would be to prevent chronic disease prevention, especially if there's a family history of it, or whatever current diagnoses someone may have, minimize the side effects of those diagnoses through nutrition. So just whole health, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health, and well-being. So sorry, I'm rambling. As I was saying before, one-on-one services, especially with the time now, virtually, and group sessions as well. So in the past, I've done group workshops with employees, just noticed that internet connection is unstable. So group workshops with employees to have a healthier relationship with their work. So creating healthy boundaries there, stress management there as well. So
awesome. Well, I commend you for all the work you do. Oh, looks like we just lost Yoko. Well, Yoko, know that you're awesome. You're loved. You're an amazing practitioner. Here you go. And she's back. There you go. I was saying I was saying to you and to everybody, you're awesome. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for showing up, for doing work, for holding that space, for helping people to increase their capacity. I'm inviting everybody to check out the schedule of the Healing Studio online for Yoko's next workshops and opportunities to learn from her, to learn with her, to practice together, to heal together, to increase capacity together, and to practice compassion together. Yoko, thank you so much.
Thank
Be
you,
well.
Pierre.
We'll talk soon.
Yes, bye.
Bye.